On.
Hey everybody, we are back again. It's Adele. I'm your co-host alongside my best friend, one of them, great coach, Victor, our head coach of IronEdge and our fearless leader in helping all of our athletes crush their goals. Today we were so excited, especially myself. I'm thrilled to hear the story of this wonderful, beautiful woman that I've had the opportunity to meet, Crystal Billings. She's an Iron Edge athlete training for the CDA, which I'll let them explain to you a little bit more. It's a 70.3 half marathon in 2026. And she's chasing some very, very big dreams. We're going to dive into her journey, her recent racing streak, which is unbelievable. I'm so excited to hear about that, and how Iron Edge is powering her toward that finish line. And Crystal has some very unique stories to tell us about what brought her to Victor, and what she's trying to achieve in this part of her life.
All right. Welcome, Crystal. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
So excited to hear your story and for you to share with our audience your story. And I'll let Dale ask some of the first questions.
So my biggest
Okay.
question, I have for all of our listeners, y'all, I have a background on some of Crystal's history, both her life story as well as some medical issues and all that. But let's start with Crystal. Crystal, what encouraged you to start and contact Victor and start on your program to accomplish a half Ironman distance, half triathlon?
Well, I think that it was God. It was really. I think that God works in mysterious ways. I back in 2016, I had volunteered for an Ironman, and it was in Coeur d'Alene, and there was something about the energy and the camaraderie of the athletes. I was like, I'm gonna do this someday. I didn't want to just stand and hand out water. Cheer these athletes along. The energy was just something that I felt was so spiritual within my heart. And I started doing like little 5Ks then in 2016. And then in 2017, I was on a biking trip in Hawaii and I broke my knee. So it kind of derailed me a little bit. Um, Fast forward a little bit, I had worked previously with a couple of different Ironman coaches. And last year, when I had signed up for the half Ironman, I realized that I was not going to be ready. I
Mhm.
had gone through a lot of changes with the my body, and I had reached out to a friend of mine that was in the fitness industry here, and I asked her. I said, "Do you know anybody that can teach me open water swimming that's local?" And she actually sent me Victor's name via messenger, and I didn't contact him because I had gotten to the point where I was exhausted from training.
Yeah.
I had at that point been training for 6 months religiously. I was tired. I was hurting. And I decided that I wasn't ready for that Ironman, and I just took a little bit of a break. And then fast forward, I joined Team Blaze. And all of a sudden I get on this app and I get this like inbox message from this guy that's like, "Hey, if you ever need anything, like just let me know." And I saw his name and I said, "I think that was the guy that Pepper told me about last year." And I'm like hearing God say, "I think this might be your guy."
I
And
think
I'm
that might.
thinking to myself, "Oh my gosh, not somebody else that I'm going to have to explain my story to, or not somebody else that's not going to understand that I'm not an athlete, that I didn't come from the athletic background, that I'm going to need a lot of help." And I just asked him, I said, "Hey, do you train clients?" And he's like, "Yeah, actually, let's have a conversation." And I've been hanging out with him ever since.
And hanging out with him is pretty much it, because I know he's doing a lot of workouts with you too. Victor, as Crystal's coach, how did you find this alignment when she found you? How did you find that alignment to get her going on the 70.3 journey, especially considering her unique challenges with her medical? And we'll get into that, what's called lipedema, and I'll let them explain to y'all a little bit later in our podcast. But how did you align with Crystal to kind of get her on this journey that she's been on for the last 6 to 8 months, specifically looking towards next year?
Well, I saw her first on our band. What she's talking about is our platform band,
Mhm.
where um, her post was the Iron Man. I believe is Iron Man. Was it one part of your profile? And I thought, oh, she wants to do an Iron Man. I'm going to see if she needs any help. I think it wasn't until the second conversation that she mentioned, oh, by the way, you were referred by, I forget her name.
Pepper root.
Pepper. Yeah, you were referred by Pepper. Oh, awesome. And then through our conversations, she right away she let me know that that was one of her dreams, is to do the half Ironman. The other thing that she shared with me that stood out was that she's already working now like between 10 and 12 hours. And I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
that's more than enough for a half Ironman. I'm
Yes,
like,
yes.
that's my ideal client.
Right,
Somebody who
right.
already knows the hard work that it's going to take. So I thought, okay, then all we need to do is start to direct our that energy that she's already got, that she's already put in the time towards the triathlon training. And she wants to do it in 2026. So Maya thought, okay, we have plenty of time. And she's still doing a lot of races this year. And then next year we can start to focus on more specific for the triathlon, the workouts, and maybe more short races that involve
Okay.
triathlon race, like a sprint or Olympic.
Okay. Well, the Coeur d'Alene just passed in the last week or two, correct? So
That's
we've
right.
got
That was last week. That
12
was
months. Yeah,
that
12
was
months program,
Ethan.
12 months
We had Ethan
opportunity to
here.
train. So I have a question on some of the training, and I'd like y'all to explain to me a little bit. I know with the lipedema, there are challenges. I'll let you explain to our viewers as you and Victor can discuss that. But also with the run walk method, you had a lot of success with that not too long ago in one of the race challenges that you took on. Um, let's talk about that a little bit. The run walk method, not necessarily just because of your medical condition, but using that to get through the distances that you've accomplished. How did that work with you two in the training?
Yeah, I mentioned it to her as a strategy because I'm a big believer in that for all athletes, not just for someone with condition or anyone, to prevent injuries, to be able to go the longer distance without getting hurt. I've suggested it to quite a few athletes, and I've seen a lot of great results but especially when you train with it. In
Right.
her case, we strategized for her race that was coming up right away. It's like, oh yeah, I think it was a 10 miler, or was it a half?
It was a half marathon. It was the Oklahoma City half marathon.
Oh yeah,
Oh, that's
Hmm.
right. So
I've
I
run
thought,
that.
let's try
I've done.
this. Let's
Yeah.
try from the beginning to do the run walk, because a lot of athletes will run as long as they can and then start walking. But if we strategically start incorporating some walk runs from the beginning, a lot of times you'll end up with a better average at the end, a better
Okay.
end time. And that's exactly what happened with Crystal. She was like, oh my gosh, I PR'd.
And by several minutes, if I'm correct, right? In looking at some of the things, my notes.
Yeah, it was like 3 to 5 minutes. And,
Yeah.
that was actually, talking about and I'll just tell you lipedema. So I have a condition called lipedema and lymphedema. So the lipedema is typically is under control with me on a daily basis. But the lymphedema, I have to very, 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 very well take care of myself and make sure that I have compressions on when I'm doing high intensity exercises. Especially when I'm doing longer races, because lipedema is a condition where the body's lymphatic system doesn't pump out toxins properly and it stores it as diseased fat. So it's an adipose tissue. I went undiagnosed for so long as doctors just thinking it was obesity, that it caused lymphedema. The condition ballooned me to over 300 pounds.
Jeez.
Even at that time, I had a very healthy nutritional profile, diet, exercise. I have a degree in nutrition. But this condition, I guess the easiest way to say is I am the poster child for don't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah.
With that specific race, I had asked coaches after coaches after coaches, like, how come I'm not getting faster? What do I need to do to improve my time? And so Victor had recommended the run walk method on this specific climate. It's very humid there. So I had to put on compressions, full grade compression stockings, to ensure that my calves didn't swell, because I had to take in a lot of fluid, obviously, for the race. And another thing that was challenging on this race was you can't have camel packs because of the Oklahoma City bombing. They don't allow those. And I have to bring all of my nutrition with me. And I cannot take anything from aid stations, because fast forward to me needing something from the aid station in this specific race had high fructose corn syrup in it. And not only did my calves start to swell immensely, my compression started cutting off my circulation. So I not only PR'd in this race, I was hurting by the end because I had challenges with the humidity and my medical conditions. But because for the first 8 miles that I had my nutrition, that run walk method, I was going like 11 minutes a mile, and I had never surpassed 14.
That's fantastic.
And that was huge for me. So yeah, I ended the race swollen and feeling like a queen, because I was tired and I was exhausted. But that run walk method was like, holy smokes. Even when I was in a condition of despair, I still PR'd in that specific race, even though I was in a little bit of more pain than normal.
And I think that's such a great message that you conveyed. Not only did you have the acknowledgement of your medical condition and prepare for it, but to be faced with something right off the bat with the fructose and all that, I get it, because most people don't know when they take something from an aid station what the effects will be if they haven't trained with it before. But to continue to the finish line, regardless of the things that were happening with your body, you kept going, girl, and PR'd. I know those last couple of miles were probably slower than that 11-minute pace, but to still PR anywhere from 5 to 7 minutes, 5 minutes or more, that's a substantial amount of time taken off each mile in the 13, the series of 13 miles, which is amazing. And as a message to our viewers, y'all got to realize something. It's not about how she did it and why she did it, but the fact that faced with those challenges, she did it. The beginning is the how and the why, but the fact that she did. Y'all keep that in mind as we hear a little bit more about Crystal's story.
And
So I know
you asked me.
Yeah, go ahead.
You asked me how we lined up, and that was part of the lineup as well, because I saw that she already had that iron spirit when she shared her story and everything that she's accomplished already. I'm like, yes, that's an easy person to work with, because she has all those things that are required to be an Ironman. She had the courage, she had the spirit. She is she's a machine. She's got the heart. Yes,
Heart,
the iron.
mindset. And I think that's a very key point, because starting off with Crystal, who had those intangibles of an endurance athlete, and teach her the tangibles and the training methods. I know you've been successful in this little series that you're doing. That's, what is it, 4 races in like 5 or 6 weeks, including the one tomorrow. And the run walk method has been an incredible opportunity for you to be successful in all these. I'm assuming that's where Victor was leading with using that program with you, correct?
Yes, and but some of these races she's taken up were climbing stairs, right? The last 2 were like insanely steep, and I don't know how she did it, because she was posting on social media, and I'm like, how is she climbing all these stairs and posting at the same time? I was just very impressed. So
You know what? I gotta, out of everything that I have ever done in my whole entire life, I want to tell you right now, I just got back from Colorado. I did the Manitou Incline for my best friend's 50th birthday. And because of my fuel, because of my training, just recent training, and having Victor on my side now, I not only felt phenomenal going up that, I had this young kid turn around to me and say, what is this, like your 5th time today? I had people saying like, wow, you're just busting it up here. And these stairs were as high as your knees. That's how
Oh, wow.
steep this incline was. It was 2,782 stairs straight up, and with a 68% grade at one point. So
Oh
I
my
got to tell
God.
you, Victor, because I haven't connected with him since, not only did I kill that mountain, but I did it with such grace and joy and energy. And I never once felt like I was not going to make it to the top.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's
And
great.
that was just in the last week or so, right? Correct? In the
That
last,
was, last week. Yeah, it was last
oh my
Wednesday,
gosh,
or
that's
Thursday.
fantastic. That's called the Colorado Stair Climb. So what is
Yeah,
the
that's the
actual,
Manitou incline.
yeah, what's the actual distance from start to finish?
So straight up, it's 0.88 miles. And then when you get up to the top, you're taking a trail down, which is about 4 miles.
Okay. Coming down has got to be pretty tough too because you've done that climb where you're using different muscles. Whew.
Yeah.
So
And
what
for
do you,
our audience, if
yeah.
they're interested in using that method, the walk run method that
Mhm.
we use with Crystal, I created a run walk training program that I loaded into Training Peaks. So if you go to Training Peaks and you type in my name,
Mm.
the training plan for this one is for a full marathon. So
Okay.
I will be building another one for a half marathon, but it is very um, efficient way of training. It
Mhm.
even has the magic mile. The magic mile is just a test that you can make, that what is your fastest mile if you apply the one run method. That way you have a pace that you want to shoot for. So if your magic mile is, let's say, 11-minute miles, now you can do your workouts around that target, whether it calls for a little bit slower than the magic mile or a little bit faster, depending on the workout of the day. But it is very instrumental.
So we've talked about strength training and obviously nutrition, hydration, all that. Are y'all on a strength training protocol as well regarding the lipedema? Are you on some strength training, some weights?
Yeah, I'll let Crystal answer some of that. But as far as I know, she was already doing a lot of strength training when she came to me. And then I just made them more specific for, flexibility regarding the workouts that I had for her. So we do at least 3 strength trainings a week
Okay.
on her
Kristen,
training.
how much were you doing prior to starting your
Too
race training?
much.
Too
Too
much.
much.
Okay.
And you know what? That I think fast forward to that, and with Victor too. So we were out in Coeur d'Alene the last time, and this was when I realized that there was such a difference with his training than my current training, because even throughout my I'm 47 now, and I've always had a personal trainer at the gym. I've always been in the gym, working out, trying to exercise. I know how to lift weights. I know how to do all this. My previous Ironman coaches would uplift certain, things into my workouts. And I was doing a whole bunch of different things, but I was always hurting. And it was when I was with Victor, I think last month, and I was looking at my workouts, and I said, Victor, I'm looking at the workouts, and it's running and swimming and biking and a lot of calisthenics, a lot of stretching, a lot of, core strength stuff, but it wasn't a lot of lifting heavy weights. And I just asked him, I said, well, why is that? And he said, well, what is your goal? And I was telling him my goal is the Ironman. He said, well, we're going to do Ironman things. And that was like a light bulb that went off, because I was like, whoa, like nobody has told me that. Before, Victor, I was not kidding you. Because of my lipedema, which is a connective tissue disorder, I would come home from the gym and I would be so sore, even if I lifted a 5-pound weight, because of how much training that I was doing, that it was causing inflammation, which it does. But with a condition that I have, which is an inflammatory condition, it was making my the strain on my muscles and my tissues hurt, and I don't want to be in pain. So when I was able to back off of that a little bit and follow Victor's guidance, I did my longest workout that I've ever done, which was Victor, I think we were out there 5 hours. We
Yeah.
swam for a couple of hours. We rode a bike for 2 hours. And I could do more. And I'm like, holy smokes. Like, this is absolutely phenomenal when you can connect with the right person that is able to develop you a program. I'm not sore. I'm not in pain. I did a lot more strength training with weights before, but now it's just all about like core stuff and then Ironman stuff, I guess, I guess you could say.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
what you're doing is you're getting that base strength, this basic strength model. You're
Hmm.
leaning out the muscles to do endurance events. Obviously, you're learning all of this. If you haven't already known it, you're doing it even better now because you've got somebody being accountable to you. But the beauty of that is you're not losing your strength. You're building leanness and you're building the flexibility that you need to do the things you're doing. Adding in these long swims, which you weren't doing a lot of those, adding in these bikes and these brick type workouts like you just described, where you're doing two or your three events for an extended amount of time. When you can walk away from that workout, yeah, definitely you're hungry, definitely you're tired, definitely you're sweaty and you're cruddy, and all you want is to feel, wow, like you just described, I could do more because I feel so much better. That's the kind of thing that makes a difference as you go into your next endurance fitness training program, training event, like another 5 hour brick, right?
Hmm.
You want to have that same feeling as you've done it now a second or a third time. And that's where Victor's guidance comes in. And I think he's probably recognized the base you have more than most people do when they sign in to do a training like this, but also using the knowledge and the accountability you have to yourself with the lipedema and what works, what doesn't, and how you have to adjust your training. And I'd like y'all to talk a little bit about that because navigating that type of illness, which you've had now really all your life, according to my notes, y'all, all our viewers, this has been a struggle for most of Crystal's life. And only in the last maybe 5 to 7 years, would you say you found success in maintaining the fitness condition that you're in now with some of the training and things? Has it been about that long? 5 to 7 years, maybe?
It actually more recent than that. So 2022. So um, in 2019, I was like, I don't understand why I am so heavy.
Mm-hmm.
I exercised, I worked out. If you asked my husband, he'd be like, I was running stairs when I was that heavy. But when I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking about heavy, I'm not just talking about my stomach was heavy. Lipedema is a connective tissue disorder to where it makes your arms and your legs excessively large. So
Mm-hmm.
my legs weighed 60 pounds apiece, and so did my arms. But because I had worked out for so long, I had a lot of strength within my body. When I decided that I was going to figure out what was going on with my body, which led me to my diagnosis. Um, it was 2019. I went to school for nutrition. I was like,
Right.
I don't know if all these people are lying to me about what I should be eating, but I want to figure out what's going on. So I went to school at the Institute for Integrative Nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
It is a holistic nutritional school out of New York City. I became a certified nutritional health coach, and then I expanded that degree in hormones because I wanted to understand nutrition from a hormonal level.
Mm-hmm.
And when I did that, I was successful in losing some weight. And then I got diagnosed with lipedema. I self-diagnosed, and then I went to see a doctor on it um,
Mm-hmm.
in 2022. So in 2022, I was able to see that doctor, connect with him, do some more conservative measures, and then cut out some very estrogen related foods in my diet that were causing my lymphatic system not to tell what the good and the bad toxins were. When I did that and I added in fasting, I read Dr. Fong's obesity code. I lost the weight fell off of me. It was almost like there was a garbage disposal and somebody had cleared the clog because the weight fell off of me and I lost 160 pounds in 7 months.
Wow.
Um, yeah.
Wow.
And throughout that time, I was getting the diseased tissue removed from my body from the doctor's office. So I was healing and I was going through a process of having lymphatic sparing lipedema reduction surgery, which was,
Mm-hmm.
they started in my arms, went down to my legs, but I wanted as much of that diseased tissue removed because
Mm-hmm.
it was really hard to even bend my knee. So I was recovering during that time too.
Okay.
And then I did my first race that following June, which was a mountain climb. And then it's just been a slow journey since, but I've loved the journey because it's been so incredible to watch and challenging because I went from weight loss mode to, okay, now I got to eat good quality, high quality food, like a lot of it.
A
I got
lot
to
of it,
cut
right?
out the fasting. I got to ask a lot of questions, and I got to find the right people that know the answers that I need, that understand what I'm talking about, because a lot of food that certain people would suggest to me
Mm-hmm.
for longevity on races would make me swell. So I had to be very intimate with that. When should I take that fuel? How much fuel should I take? Um, Seeing if certain exercises that I was doing or what I was eating was a relationship to my lipedema or my
Mhm.
lymphedema, or was it just I was supposed to feel like this because I'm training for a triathlon. So it was a lot of uncovering mysterious things within my body that I was trying to figure out, because I always wanted to be an athlete. I always wanted to be an athlete. It was a dream that I had since I was a little kid in elementary school, but my body just had other other things on its mind at that point.
Right,
So
right.
I didn't give up. I didn't give up. I just continued on until I figured out how to do it. I hope that answered the question that you
And yeah,
asked.
it's a beautiful, concise description. And I want our viewers to understand something, y'all. What Crystal has done has not only been looking at all possible avenues of diet and nutrition and fitness and hydration. She's literally had the right doctors finally in her corner. She's performed the surgical procedures that are necessary to get rid of what she described just now as the diseased tissues. And I think surgery would be the only way to remove those from your physical body, correct? There's no
Yeah, that
just,
is correct.
okay, no
Yeah,
using
so
that.
lipedema is the lipedema fat gets adhered to the tissue. So with
Right.
lipedema fat, it can't be lost through diet or exercise. The only medical intervention is a procedure called lymphatic sparing liposuction. So what they
Right.
have to do is they put a cannula in your tissue or in your body, and then they swell the fat away from the tissue, and then they suck it out. You can lose normal weight through diet or exercise, like adipose
Mhm.
visceral fat or stuff like that. But with the lipedema, it's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to go anywhere. I lost weight in my early 20s before I was even diagnosed, and I still had humongous legs and arms, because the lipedema tissue was still there. My middle section got smaller, but yeah, you have to have medical intervention if you want that tissue removed.
Right. And I think the resources that you put everything together and got the right information, y'all listen to what Crystal's telling y'all. Go out, find what you need. Her story is very unique, but look where she is right now. She's 47 years old. She's dealt with this 46 and a half years, let's just say, from very, very, very young age. What she's done is taken all the opportunities she's had presented to herself and done more research. She's taken those courageous steps to go find what she needs. And y'all, that's what an Ironman mindset is all about. And look what she's doing right now. She has become the athlete she always wanted to become. She's found the right doctors to help her medical condition. She's found an incredible coach in Victor, who's not only supervising and acknowledging what her medical and physical needs are and using the tools that she needs to be successful, but looking at different options for her to be setting a PR in a run walk method and continuing to do so and challenging herself to do 6 distance races in about 6 weeks, 4 distance races, I'm sorry, in about 6 weeks. The challenge she set for herself is monumental. It's being done. She's not saying no. The only thing she backed off from by acknowledging she wasn't ready for the Quarter Lane a couple of weeks ago is to allow herself the correct and proper timing and training to get ready for next year. And I can totally believe she's going to have complete success in that through all the ups and downs of a year of training. We all go through ups and downs. I wanted to ask Victor if he had any other things that he's working on with you, because there's 3 different events in your Ironman. You've got your swim, your bike, your run, and how the training is developing to put all that together for Crystal because of her unique abilities for one, her unique drive and mindset, but also some of the challenges she has physically. How have y'all adapted some of those other events besides the running?
Well, right now she's just doing magnificent, and we kind of like, yeah, let's get those races, and she's really getting her confidence a lot higher. I can hear her speaking, and it's one of the things that I like about working with clients and being in touch. I like to connect at least once a week, and in this case, a lot of it has been through text and things like that because of the races that she's been at. So she's been extremely busy that way, and her job. But otherwise, we would probably go because she's local. We've gone to do some triathlons, and that's when I get to connect. We did a little mini try where we did the swim, the bike, and the run. I get to connect. I get to ask the questions of like, how do you feel? How is the nutrition working? That's when she shared the whole issues with her strength training, and she
Mhm.
wanted to know why I'm doing it the way I'm doing it. So now it's a matter of once she gets caught up with some of the races, we could hopefully squeeze in some more open waters and some bike rides because where we live here in
Okay.
Spokane, Washington, the season where you can do these things outdoors kind of closes
Yeah.
in September, October.
Right, right.
So it's a short period. We have to get those in because they're crucial. And then as we get to through the spring, we do a lot of the indoor stuff, and hopefully by middle of May again, we can do um, a lot of those outdoor activities again next year, getting close to the Ironman 70.3 in June.
So with the Iron Edge program and also Team Blaze, Chris was a part of all that with you. So some of these community rides, swims, and runs, Crystal, you find that beneficial? I'm leading you to describe how you thrive in the community setting with the team. Can you describe a little bit of some of that support?
Yeah, so I joined, and Victor had asked me like, what did I want to do on certain things? So I own two businesses. I have a really busy schedule, and I think that the more that I add to my schedule, sometimes it gets overwhelming. So
Mhm.
I try to like, if Victor has like a swim or something that's scheduled, I will always schedule myself management wise on a weekly or a monthly basis, my workouts first. I haven't worked out much with Team Blaze. I when I lost all my weight. I had to learn how to re-swim because I went from being super overweight and having a lot of fat on my body to thinking I was going to drown. So I'm still learning how to do that. So I joined the master's swim
Right.
team at the YMCA, and that was monumental. But now I go swim on my own just because I can't make it during the times that they are swimming. So I've been a lot more gentle with myself lately. And I think that that's why I'm such in a good state of mind. And that's why I connect well with Victor, because he's not screaming and yelling at me that I need to do it this way or I need to do it that way. He's just very gentle. And I respond to that. And not trying to put things on my schedule that is another task. I fit in my workouts when I can fit them in. So I love the community. The community is incredible, but I also like the space of I'm doing this for me. And
Right.
um, I don't want to do this for other people because the moment and the times that I did things for other people in my past and in my life, I wasn't as fulfilled as when I realized it was just about doing it for me and my strength and then inspiring others while I'm doing that, you know?
Yeah.
Right. And I
I'm
think because of the career choices, I'm sorry, go ahead, Victor. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say
Go
I'm a
ahead.
big promoter of doing a little bit of both. If an athlete likes to work a lot by themselves, it means that they're self-motivated, that they take initiative. They don't need that extra motivation. But if they can squeeze a few workouts with other people, then it's a good way to know where to learn a little bit more when you are in a group. We did bike rides with a group, and it kind of
Mhm.
tells you, okay, if especially with the Ironman coming up, it's kind of
Right.
nice to see other people who have done it and to see, okay, I need to be at the speed of that other person if because they have cutoff times. If it was one of those
Mhm.
races, I've done a lot of races where there's no limit, whenever you get done, you get done. But in the
Mhm.
Ironman, if you're not at a certain point on the race, they just pull you out. And it happens a lot.
Right. Right.
But
I've had friends who hit the cutoff. They
yeah,
finished the event, but they are not officially a finisher because they didn't do it in the cutoff time. I do want to ask Crystal because I know we discussed this with a couple of other people we've talked to that are doing the Ironman training to get in the open water and swim with all those other people. We've described it as swimming over and under people and just kind of navigating through it. And the same thing on the bike, getting used to riding in a group that you will be doing during your event, and just to have that hands-on experience to know, hey, I'm going to ride in this kind of position. I'm going to swim in this wave. I'm not going to be on top of people. I'm not going to have them going over me. et cetera, et cetera. So I'm assuming that's all going to be coming up for you, Crystal. Okay.
Oh yeah, no, I just told Victor I'm at a point right now where I kind of backed off from the group stuff because that's what I was doing for a year and a half. And I needed more fundamentals of what I was doing and my skills so I felt comfortable, especially in open water. That is the reason why I pulled out of the last Ironman race was because I felt somebody starting to grab my feet and I started hyperventilating and I don't want to I need to work through certain fears and I need to work them on my own to feel strong enough to work out in a group setting like that. Also, that
Yeah.
biking accident left me with a lot of PTSD because I busted my tibia from my femur and I had to have multiple ligament repair. So getting back on the bike and
Yeah.
I had to go through mentally a lot of challenges overcoming. If I go too fast, if I go too slow, am I going to be back in the emergency room with the torn leg? So
Right.
I love the fact that I'm able to, before I step back into the group atmosphere, which I am looking forward to, be able to hone in on my skills with Victor and the smaller groups that we have, like at the triathlon on Saturday mornings. I've been really enjoying those, or just like a few people versus I went out to an open water practice and the coach was yelling and screaming, and I'm like, I don't want to be yelled and screamed at. That's just me. I want to be able
Right.
to feel comfortable. And I said, well, you guys go ahead and go, and I will be right back here. And I went, but I'm going to be right back here because I feel that I want to make sure that the moment that I step in that water, that I'm confident, that I am ready to swim, that I remember what Victor said about just put your arms out and realize that you're not having to do a lot of effort here, that I can hear him in my head and that I don't have to worry about other people trying to, swim over me at this point, that it's a process
Right.
moving up. So I'm really looking forward to that time. So
Yeah,
I
and
think you'll
also,
be more confident too by the time that comes up, don't you, Victor? She'll
yes,
be a little bit more
absolutely.
confident
absolutely.
in that
There's
situation. So
there is a
I have two.
safety. I was just going to say that
Okay,
there is a benefit to having 3 or 4 people at least when you go on group rides if you're going to be out on the streets, because I believe you're safer in numbers when people can see, oh, there's a group of bikes versus when you're by yourself. I don't have a lot of experience out in the streets. I usually try to go on the trails where there's no cars, but like where I recently moved, I have to go through a series of areas where there's high traffic, and I am nervous, and
Yeah.
it takes those little bit of rides to go out in a new area to get comfortable, mm, where
right,
you're like, okay,
right.
I'm gonna be okay. Because I fell off the bike not too long ago too, and it's like
Yeah,
I
I
don't want
remember.
to do that again.
I know there's so much to learn. Like, hey, listen, when that trainer is sitting in my front room and I'm on that bike, I'm a beast. I'm like, I can't ride on my own. I don't know the rules of the road. I don't know how to change this bike tire. I don't know all of this. So I do love riding with what we rode a few weeks ago, the Coeur d'Alene, Higgins Point and back
Yeah,
a little bit. And that was really cool because I just felt
yeah,
confident because Victor was there and I felt like I knew what I was doing. It gave me a lot more comfort.
yeah. And
So
I mean that's where the coaching comes in, and of course he wants to be there anyway, to see your success and build that confidence. There's a couple things I'm going to take away from this, and I'm addressing this a little bit to our viewers, if you don't mind. I know we'll be closing things down in just a few minutes, but there's two questions I have left for Crystal. But y'all, I want to use a few words to describe Crystal and what I'm picking up on. This is our first opportunity to have a conversation, myself with her and Victor together. But resilience, incredibly non-negotiable mindset and drive to achieve her dreams, to bounce back from anything that she's found stands in her way, regardless of a physical and medical condition, compounded with the different tasks that she has, the different job and professional commitments that she has, the time management that she just described to you, to definitely get her workouts in. She works her calendar a couple of weeks to a month at a time. Are y'all picking up on what she's doing to build her success? And let's also look at what's in her heart and in her soul. There's a lot of mindset, there's a lot of courage, there's a lot of strength in what she's come through to bring her to where she is today. And that's a huge component of the intangibles that go along with her training. I just had to remark on that. So I would like Crystal to just finish up a little bit on where you see yourself over the course of these next several months training to that big goal. I know you have some events you're planning and some things you're doing to challenge yourself to see where you are in your progress. How do you see yourself developing over the next, let's say, 11 months to the date of Coeur d'Alene 2026?
Okay, so I have envisioned Sherman Road, which is the like line where the finish line is, and I see myself on that finish line next year. I see myself strong. I see myself leaner, and faster than I am, and I see myself more confident than I am today. I am so blessed, and I am so grateful because my body. My heart wanted to do this a long time ago, but my body was saying, hey, we need to figure some stuff out first. And so to be able to even envision that I would be swimming in the Coeur d'Alene Lake with all these other incredible athletes and riding my bike and up hills and not being afraid of going down hills and then being able to run. I see myself crossing that finish line probably with a PR of, well, it's going to be a PR anyways, but well below the 8.5 hours that I had to keep saying like, oh, if I make it by this time, I'll be here. And I'm like, okay, I got 8.5 hours. I see myself not just finishing it, but finishing it in an extraordinary time with confidence and without pain, and with strength and with joy and with happiness and with a hell of a lot of supporters, heck of a lot of
Yeah,
supporters.
a
Yes.
lot. I know you can have a lot of people out there. So, Victor, I wanted to have you finish up. I know we usually like to get a comment from you, but also our favorite question. I'm going to let you ask Crystal our favorite
Yes.
question when we
Well,
finish
yeah,
our
it's a
interviews. So,
perfect way to end this session. Is Crystal, what does running your best life mean to you?
Running my best life is always being curious what else there is. Always, going after the things that you want, never giving up. I had lost and gained the same amount of weight 70, 80 times. I swear to you. And it was a large amount of weight. It was 60, 70 pounds. Um, you don't give up. Running your best life is never giving up on what you want, what your dreams are, how you feel, and always saying, to yourself that you love yourself, you love your body, you honor your body, and what its ability is to do. And continuing on, we have one life, and I hope that everybody else is inspired today to, pick up on their dreams and run with them because even if you've given up on them, you don't ever have to start again. You just continue. Just continue.
right,
Awesome.
right.
I love it. I love that
I
answer.
love that. I love
Yes,
that.
it is.
We got to put that in a quote book. That was beautiful. Thank you
Yes.
for sharing that, Crystal.
Yeah,
I really
absolutely.
appreciate that.
It's been a
So,
pleasure.
Victor, I'm
Thank
going to leave
you.
it to
Thank
you.
you for coming by. Thank you, Adele. And just want to say thank you to all the coaches and to the Team Blaze and other triathlon clubs that have contributed to this podcast. Thank you for the listeners for tuning in. And we have a lot more stuff coming up. And I'll keep you posted. We're going to have Crystal back on because she's so inspiring and she's done it so
Energy,
many ways.
energy.
Like, she's still. We're going to have her back, and especially
Hey,
after the race, share
I
her
gotta say
experience.
something. I gotta say something before we actually sign off. Victor, if I ever get over there and do any kind of training with you two, you can just hang back because there won't be anything that we'll let you say.
Sounds like a plan.
But I really enjoyed this. Thank you so much, Crystal. I really am looking forward to your progress and chatting again sometime real soon. I really
It
am.
was wonderful to meet you, Adele, and so good to see you too, Victor. Always.
Thank you.
Thanks for the opportunity.
We really
Thank
appreciate it. Thank
you
you,
for
sweetheart.
being here. All right, guys. Stay triumphant.
Stay
Bye.
strong.